Okay, so this is going to be my review of the Sena 10C. I have had this camera for about 2 weeks now, and in those 2 weeks I've been adjusting it, fiddling around with it. I had to upgrade the firmware. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. So I'm going to give you my 2 cents worth here. So if you're considering it, you know exactly what you're getting into. I watched a few reviews before I bought it myself, but for what I was gonna use it, it seemed to work. A lot of the other reviews said that it's definitely not a GoPro replacement, and I wasn't expecting it to be. I know there's a lot of 1080p cameras out there that say they're 1080p, but once you look at the quality and the playback, it's just, it's not really high quality stuff. So, merging traffic here. What do they say about the 1080p on this camera? Well, it only records at 30 frames per second, which if you have an action cam and you're doing any kind of activity that's fast moving, you definitely want at least 60 frames per second because it gives you a much smoother picture. With 30 frames per second, it just doesn't seem as smooth. It seems more jittery, even though I'm on a bumpy road here, but even when I'm on a smooth road. And if you want to see details, if you want to pause the video during playback to see details, it just doesn't record it because it's only shooting at half the frames per second. Whereas with 60 frames per second, you're able to pause it and read license plates, read store signs, read street names, which can come in handy later on if you want a record in case, worst case scenario, you get into an accident. We need those records for your case. Now, this camera also has a Bluetooth contained in the same unit, which was the selling point for me because I had been wanting a Bluetooth headset for a while now, and I had been looking around, but I really didn't pull the trigger until the Sena 10C came out with the video built into the same unit. Once it came out together, I just figured, why not? I ride my bike every day to work, and I want to have something that is always on and always recording, and at the same time I can listen to my music on my ride to work. And the Sena 10C does that. And all the other units that I saw, you basically have to buy a camera and a separate Bluetooth, which didn't work out for me because if the easier something is, the more likely you are to use it consistently, and that's what I wanted. I wanted something that was going to always be on, always recording, that you don't have to worry about except for charging, and that's the Sena 10C. I have this other camera, which is the Ion Air Pro 3, which films in 1080p 60 frames per second, which I have to say the video quality is much better. However, it doesn't have loop recording, so every 2 days I have to take out the SD card and format the card and basically erase everything on there. The Sena 10C has loop recording, which should take that need away because it's just going to record over your oldest video. And if you're using it as a daily recorder, then you don't really care because most of the things you do every day are boring and you're never going to want to see again. So that's, that was not a factor for me. The video quality wasn't the selling point. It was more that you get a camera and a Bluetooth unit in one package, so you only have to set up one thing, and you just do it once and it's there. It's set up on your helmet. It's ready to go whenever you need it. Just push play. Another thing about the Sena 10C is the helmet clamp that it comes with. It's actually a little clamp that you tighten onto the side of the helmet, and it's adjustable up and down. And what I like about this particular mount is that the adjustments are in steps, in increments. They have little clicks every time you move it, if you don't loosen it too much. So if you want to do a micro adjustment, you can. If you want to just go one click up or down, you can do that. This Ion Air Pro 3 is on a ball joint, which, once you loosen that thing up, it's pretty impossible to, fine tune it. So I still haven't gotten that thing set up on my helmet properly. That's one thing that I do like about this Sena 10C, is that, the up, down, left, right adjustments are separate. So you loosen the clamp and then you can click it up and down. One click, two clicks, shoot the video, review it, see how you like it. And then if you need to tilt the camera left and right so that the horizon is either up or down, you can do that separately. It's been windy out here, so my bike is pretty dusty. So the Sena 10C, actually you can rotate the lens, and that allows you to rotate the horizon so that if it's tilted too much to one side, you don't have to look at a crooked horizon the whole time. People love their loud exhaust. So, speaking of loud exhaust, the microphone on the Sena 10C, when I first got it, was just very bad. The sound was peaking. You had a lot of distortion because the gain was set so high and you couldn't lower it. And obviously in a helmet, the microphone has to be very close to your mouth. You have no choice. You can't put it off to the side because you're not going to be able to hear anything. So without having a gain control, it made the audible horrible to listen to. Very bad quality. And after watching a couple of videos, it became clear that you had to download the new firmware, which is firmware 2.0, which gives you a gain adjustment. You can 3 gain adjustment. It's still not perfect, but you have low, medium, and high. So right now I'm on the low setting, and I think it's still a little bit high, just because it does have some kind of auto gain adjustment to compensate for ambient wind noise and loud exhausts that are around you. I'm also at the same time recording through an external recorder with a clip-on mic clipped onto the breath guard in the helmet, and that's plugged into my Zoom H2N recorder. I'll give you a good comparison of the two so you can see the difference in quality. I don't know why the Sena 10C's microphone is not better, because their speakers are awesome. I would expect their microphone to be awesome also. A couple of things so you know what to look out for. This is the Sena 10C, and I'm recording at 1080p, 30 frames per second. I did a test at 720p, 60 frames per second, much smoother. But of course, when you go full screen on a 1080p monitor, you can notice that it's a lower resolution video. If you keep the window at the native resolution, it looks much better, much smoother. So definitely not good for YouTube purposes to have it at 720p, because most people, even their smartphones, are much higher resolution now. So as a daily recorder, in case of an accident, 720p at 60 frames per second is more than enough. But for people that want to upload vlogs and do some cool stuff and share it with the world, you definitely need higher resolution camera with a higher frame rate. And really there is no replacement for the GoPro. Even though I have this Ion Air Pro 3, the GoPro is just the standard for a reason. It's the ease of use, the image quality, and the aftermarket accessories that are available for it. So if you're considering buying a camera for vlogging, those are some things that you need to keep in mind. I always like to try different brands. I don't like to just go with the standard right off the bat. So, you know, it's not the smartest thing to do, but I always like to give the underdog a chance. Okay, so the Sena 10C's nighttime video quality is, you know, even worse than the daytime quality. I can put some sample footage so you guys can check it out, but it's definitely nothing to brag about. Again, the Ion Pro is also not great at night. You can forget about trying to see any license plates at night because they're just, you know, overexposed because it's so dark, and license plates are so reflective that you really can't make out any of the digits on the license plates. So I don't know if the GoPros are any better in that respect, but I haven't been able to get a good image at night with either the Ion Air Pro 3 or the Sena 10C. And I'm about to jump onto the freeway so you guys can get an idea of how loud or how much wind noise this Sena 10C picks up. Now I'm wearing a Speed and Strength helmet, the Speed and Strength 1100, which is not the quietest helmet, but it's actually a little bit quieter since I don't have the windscreen on, because the windscreen just throws all the air up to the helmet. So we're getting up to speed now. And you'll be able to see how the video looks when you're moving at highway speeds. So this is me talking on the highway with the Sena 10C and with the Zoom H2N, which is clipped on with an Audio Technica clip-on mic that's clipped onto the breath guard. I'll review both of them and I will tell you which one is the winner at highway speeds. I think most of my vents are closed. I think only the rear vents are open, which you don't have the option to close. So we'll see if it's any kind of usable audio with this helmet, this mic, and this camera setup. Now I do have music playing through my headsets, so it'd be good to see if any of that music bleeds through into the microphone. I doubt it will because I don't think it's loud enough, and the gain level on both of these mics are set pretty low because I knew it was going to be loud up here. And we're coming in for a landing. Hopefully we get some usable audio here. So overall, the Sena 10C is not a great camera. And from other reviews, it's not a great Bluetooth. So why did I get it? Because it does what I need it to do. It records my daily driving, plays my music for my commute, and it's good enough for that. I don't want something that I have to constantly delete the video and set up two different things, charge two different things every day. And this, this allows me to do what I want, which is basically have a video recorder and Bluetooth for daily use, and it's easy. So there you have it. The Sena 10C, the Ion Air Pro 3, and the Audio Technica clip-on mic to LA.